I don't know if I'm going to sound completely insane when I say this, but I think Master Kohga is a far better written villain than Ganondorf in Tears of the Kingdom, and as far as I'm concerned, it's not even close. There are 3 reasons for this. First, Master Kohga has more compelling and more developed motivations than Ganondorf, at least in the English translation. Apparently, in other translations, Ganondorf had more developed motivations, but whatever. Second, we as the audience have much more of a relationship with Kohga. We interact with him a lot more than we ever do with Ganondorf. I much prefer a villain who is active, who is present in the story, than a villain who just sits around in a castle waiting for the hero to show up. Third, and most importantly, Kohga's character and role in the story has been expanded in a lot of really intelligent ways since his first appearance. He's not just a good villain, he's an improved villain. His story has developed in a really sensible way since the last game, and it's very satisfying to see. Back in Breath of the Wild, I was very disappointed with Master Kohga. I thought the Yiga clan themselves were a really cool new group of antagonists. They had this far-reaching backstory where, in the distant past, they had once been part of the Sheikah and fought alongside the Kingdom of Hyrule to defeat Calamity Ganon. But after their shared victory, instead of being praised or rewarded for helping save the world, they were treated with suspicion, forced to abandon their technology. The Yiga clan very understandably resented this unfair treatment, resented the people of Hyrule. So they split off from the Sheikah, swore their allegiance to Ganon, and fought forever after to destroy the kingdom they felt had betrayed them. They nursed this resentment and hatred for thousands of years, until it became the foundation of their culture. They had hated Hyrule for so long that it became their cultural identity, their central purpose in life. But there was still humanity within them, inner conflict, and opportunity for change. Dorian, one of the guards in Kakariko Village, was born a member of the Yiga clan, but he chose love and family over ancient resentments and departed the clan. His story demonstrated that the Yiga weren't just mindless drones, just evil minions without character or conscience. Each of their clan's members must make a choice to continue serving Ganon. The Yiga clan were at least a somewhat complicated villain too, meaning that they were both despicable and sympathetic at the same time. They have sympathetic motivations. Their bitterness towards Hyrule Kingdom makes sense, but their actions are still despicable. With Ganon, they serve a source of murder, destruction, and death. They serve the apocalypse. They murdered Dorian's wife as punishment for his perceived betrayal. They are terrorists. They are a twisted and corrupted version of the Sheikah tribe. I've always really liked how the Sheikah are portrayed in each game. They're often these secretive and mysterious magic-wielding ninjas who fight tirelessly and skillfully for the cause of good, who are totally loyal to Princess Zelda. But in Breath of the Wild, we got to see their dark reflection in the Yiga clan. Got to see that magic and skill twisted to serve evil instead. As a longtime fan, it was really exciting. So, in Breath of the Wild, when I finally reached the Yiga clan's headquarters, and I encountered their leader, I expected to find a character who was as compelling as the evil ninja clan he commanded. But instead, I found Kohga, a clownish buffoon. He's like a Saturday morning cartoon character. His character doesn't contain any of the menace or moral complexity of the Yiga clan story. He's just a joke. He accidentally defeats himself by summoning a giant iron ball that then rolls over him and sends him falling stupidly down an endless pit. The whole encounter was really disappointing to me. However, in Tears of the Kingdom, I like him a lot more. I think a big part of it is that his character is presented in a very different way here. In Breath of the Wild, the developers kept him hidden away for most of the game, so I built up all of these expectations about how cool and menacing his character was going to be, which led to a lot of disappointment when he turned out to be a big idiot instead. But in Tears of the Kingdom, he's not hidden at all. You can find him really early in the game, and then you'll keep encountering him over and over again over the course of a really fun series of side adventures. I found his goofball, clownish qualities a lot more fun and endearing when I knew what to expect from him. His goofiness works much better as a buffoonish, recurring loser-type villain whose every scheme blows up in his face, than it does as the hidden and mysterious leader of the violent doomsday cult terrorists. And more than that, Nintendo have made such smart decisions with his character in this game. To show you what I mean, let's follow his character's story between games. After his defeat in Breath of the Wild, Kohga fell down this seemingly bottomless pit. Except this isn't a bottomless pit. By miracle or magic, Kohga survived this fall. And then he found that he had descended into what might as well have been an alien world. The depths are these massive caverns, hundreds of feet beneath Hyrule, where strange flora and fauna grow and where incredibly ancient and advanced ruins of the Zonai civilization rest. Kohga was probably the first living person to enter the depths in thousands and thousands of years. He was the first person to explore this space in millennia. He explored, he excavated, he discovered ancient Zonai mechanical devices, technology unlike anything to be found on the surface. He experimented, he learned to craft vehicles with the Zonai devices, boats and flying machines, bulldozers, tanks, and even helicopters. In defeat, completely by accident, he found a new power and a new kingdom. In defeat, he discovered the Yiga clan's renaissance. Under his leadership, the clan underwent a massive expansion. They spread across the depths, building outposts, setting up supply lines, excavating Zonai ruins, exploring and experimenting, crafting deadly new mechanisms. Master Kohga became the ruler of the depths in all but name. He transformed himself and his clan into a deadlier new version of themselves. This is such a smart decision by the developers. They took what was a pretty typical and generic Disney-style villain death of falling down a big hole and mixed that in with this new setting that they added in the sequel in a really logical way. It makes so much sense that Kohga would be ruler of the depths. He's had years to explore and expand and experiment with Zonai technology down there. It's such a satisfying development between games. The Yiga clan were already a dark reflection of the Sheikah, using the Sheikah's familiar magic for dark purposes. But now they're a dark reflection of Link's powers as well. The same way he uses Zonai technology to craft vehicles for himself, so do they. Encounters with the Yiga clan are so much fun in this game, because not only are you confronting a dark version of your own vehicle crafting powers, not only are you having to thematically overcome your own greatest strength, but the Yiga clan are so much better at it. Their vehicles are also creative. I got excited every time I encountered another clan outpost in the depths, because I knew I was going to get to see more cool examples of things that could be done with the Ultra Hand power. Encountering the Yiga's creations gave me so many new ideas for making vehicles of my own. I had no idea I could build an actual battle tank until I saw theirs. Again, it makes so much sense. From both a story and a gameplay perspective, it's such a smart decision. I'm so impressed by how the Yiga have transformed between games. Because of all of this, when I finally encountered Master Kohga, I wasn't disappointed at all like in the previous game. I was really excited. I was like, hey, here's this dumb asshole again. Dude, you did a great job. You turned an embarrassing defeat into a very impressive villainous expansion. Way to go, man. Happy to see ya. I want to watch that first encounter together because I do think it's really fun. Okay, first of all, why doesn't this character have any voiced lines? Nintendo is so weirdly cheap sometimes. They spend millions of dollars developing the game, but they can't splurge to give Kohga any properly voice-acted lines? It's really disappointing how quiet all of his scenes are. His animations are fantastic. I think you could even say that his animations themselves are really loud in a way. You get so much personality and energy from those animations, but then they're paired with this awkward silence punctuated by occasional grunts. It's so bizarre. But back to the encounter itself. This is one of 4 encounters you can have with Master Kohga. Something interesting about these is that they are completely optional. You can play the entire game and never confront Master Kohga. You'd be missing out, of course, because all of these encounters are really fun and they're some of the best boss fights in the game. A lot of Tears of the Kingdom's best content is totally optional. I think that makes it a little more exciting or satisfying to complete, knowing that I'm the one in control of the adventure. When and where and how you complete the Master Kohga side quest is totally up to you. The pace of the side adventure is in your control. You can complete it as quickly or as slowly as you want. It perfectly matches and enhances that sense of player freedom that is at the center of Tears of the Kingdom's game design. This is a great example of a game's narrative perfectly matching its gameplay. I actually really enjoy Kohga's goofiness and cartoonishness in this game. I've already mentioned how I feel that Nintendo did a good job presenting its character differently this time around, but also the Legend of Zelda series has always had a lot of goofiness. The series has always been this bizarre mix of very serious and melancholy elements interspersed with just total silly craziness. For example, everyone always talks about how Majora's Mask is the most surreal and the strangest, and the thematically darkest of all the Zelda games. But also, it's the game that introduced Tingle, this freaking middle-aged loser dressed up in green spandex, obsessed with fairies to a degree of mental unwellness, floating around on a bubble and drawing maps. Like, what the heck is this guy? He doesn't fit into the somber atmosphere of this game at all. Or in Twilight Princess, which is another game that has a more mature or dark aesthetic. But it also has all sorts of quirky, weird, and hilarious side characters. Like there's this grotesque beer-bellied clown man in Lake Hylia who shoots you out of his brightly colored chicken cannon. Or there's a whole questline where you engage in a financial hostile takeover to replace this snooty shop with the gaudy and ridiculous Mallow Mart, where everyone sings and dances to the same obnoxious and insanely catchy theme song. I think this is part of what separates Nintendo from other developers. Even in their most serious games, they always have this truly weird and childish sense of humor that manages to squeak through somewhere. Those weirdos at Nintendo know how to mix in just the right amount of silliness and eccentricity into their games. And that's Master Kohga. He's this goofy and bizarre and childish Nintendo brand of humor. I really like it. It adds a lot of charm and fun to the game. I also think Kohga is inherently more compelling just because we already have a relationship with him. We have a history together. We have a sort of back and forth, a rivalry with him that is missing in the audience's relationship with Ganondorf. Imagine if Nintendo had followed through with their crazy 3-branch timeline and let Ganondorf in Tears of the Kingdom be the exact same character as he was in those previous games, with the same memories and history. Imagine if our confrontation with Ganondorf in this game was the true culmination of many confrontations in the past, a millennia-long contest between hero and villain. Imagine if Ganondorf had held a millennia-long grudge, if he'd spent thousands of years brooding over his past mistakes and failures, and in Tears of the Kingdom he'd crafted a plan to finally destroy his most hated enemies. But instead, they chose to make him a brand new character, and he doesn't have a lot of time to really establish a meaningful relationship with Link. Their relationship is limited to a handful of cutscenes at the beginning and end of the game. Compare this with Master Kohga. Our prior history with Kohga gives him some more substantial motivations than he had in the previous game. In Breath of the Wild, Kohga was just a clownish stooge serving an evil force, which cared nothing about him or his efforts. Kohga was just doing what was expected of him. Now, in Tears of the Kingdom, he is still kind of doing that. He's still striving for the murderous Ganondorf, even though Ganondorf not only doesn't care about him, but I'm pretty sure Ganondorf doesn't even know that he exists, which I think might be a wasted opportunity. I would have been interested to see how Ganondorf and Master Kohga would have interacted in this game. But Kohga has a new motivation too. He has been defeated in the past. He very literally clawed his way back from a humiliating defeat to restore his clan to power. Now he wants revenge. He has a rival. He wants to prove himself. He knows he won't have truly restored his honor and power until he can defeat Link in battle. He has more reasons to hate Link and to want to see Link destroyed than Ganondorf does. I really enjoyed the battles with Master Kohga in Tears of the Kingdom. This is another really intelligent decision by the developers. They tied Kohga to the new game mechanics. When you fight him, you're not just fighting another boss battle, you're also engaging with the new Ultra Hand and vehicle building mechanics in a really fun way. Kohga always fights using Zonai constructs, so you have to get creative to find a way to damage him. In his first fight, you can just run around him and jump into the driver's seat. But in the second fight, he's flying around on a makeshift fighter plane, and I had to launch myself up on springs to reach him. Or in the third fight, you get to have some fun with bumper boats. After defeating him in battle, Kohga flies off. You have to travel across a vast section of the depths to reach Kohga again. It's nearly Odyssean in scale. It took me a really long time to reach him, overcoming monster dens, Yiga clan outposts, and difficult geography. It's a really fun side adventure. After defeating him again, Kohga reveals that he and his clan are gathering crystallized charges to power some ancient and deadly machine they uncovered down in the depths. An ancient and deadly machine he plans to offer to Ganondorf. I'm gonna fast forward now to Link's final confrontation with him, and I really like this scene even without voice acting. So let's watch it together, and as you watch, think about what makes this final confrontation with him different than all the others. What is different about his behavior in this final scene? In this final confrontation, Kohga isn't goofing and clowning around anymore. The game isn't playing that silly Yiga clan theme here. Instead, we get a much more dramatic soundtrack. He's not humiliating himself, he's taking this seriously, and the writers are taking him seriously too. He waits patiently for Link to arrive. There's some genuine menace in his behavior and his words. This is the master of the Yiga clan, doomsday cultists, thieves, and murderers. For the first time, he's not just a clown, he has finally transformed into a true villain. This is who I wanted Master Kohga to be way back in Breath of the Wild. Unfortunately for Master Kohga, I had already completed the Spirit Temple before this, so I had my own mecha to match his, so I kicked his butt pretty good and pretty fast. This final battle against him is my only disappointment with his character. This mech battle is just a reskin of the boss battle from the Spirit Temple, which was a cool fight, but not nearly as creative or as interesting as Kohga's battles. I loved the way the game mixed Zonai constructs in with those battles, and I really wish they had done something more with that in this final confrontation. But anyway, after this final defeat, Kohga destroys himself in a cartoonish cutscene that's almost a shot-for-shot recreation of the one in Breath of the Wild. Except this time, instead of killing himself with a giant spike ball, he blasts himself into the cosmos Team Rocket style. But this leads me to an exciting theory. If we assume that Master Kohga's death scene in Breath of the Wild was actually a secret teaser hinting that the sequel would take place underground, which we definitely should assume, because I bet for sure Nintendo did that on purpose, oh yeah, then I think Master Kohga's death scene in Tears of the Kingdom must also be a secret teaser for a future Legend of Zelda game. Master Kohga appears to rocket into outer space, so I predict the next Zelda game is going to be set in outer space, where Master Kohga will have reorganized the Yiga clan into an advanced ninja space exploration death force. Then Kohga is going to team up with the UFO cow-abducting aliens from Majora's Mask to finally defeat his rival Link with space lasers and cyborg bovines. The gameplay will be a revolutionary open-world mix of Super Mario Galaxy, Destroy All Humans, and Asteroids. And it will release in the year 2029 for the Super Switch, so look forward to that.